Wrestling is a tough line of work. The travel, the bumps, the wear and tear that your body endures. In all honesty, it takes a lot to step inside a professional wrestling ring, whether on an independent scale or on a big budget scale, or where Tony Khan says, "Come, all my favorite action toys, come together and we'll just smash you, smash you, smash you, smash you, smash." My God, he really is Sid from Toy Story, isn't he? So play nice. And some are the very best, and some I just don't fucking care for at all for a variety of reasons. And while I recognize that all the following people I'm going to talk about are tougher than I could ever hope to be, I'm here to talk about the flip side of best. The ones that I can't fucking stand for whatever reason. I'm John Ruthven with the 10 worst wrestlers of 2024 list. No honorable mentions. Why? Because I kind of cheated a little bit and put a few into a couple other slots. And let's be perfectly honest. While there are some really bad wrestlers out there, there are some that we just don't care for. There are a lot of high-level workers. There are some decent-level workers with great gimmicks. Realistically, wrestling is maybe not in a resurgence as far as crowds and stuff like that, even though WWE is doing well and AEW does well on pay-per-view, and at least they did in Washington State until Tony Khan killed the town. There are some, however, in both companies that I just don't fucking care for. And New Japan, so, oh boy, let's get to that. So, let's get to number 10. Moxley and the Death Riders. And I like Claudio as a worker, and I think Pac's pretty good. And Marina Shafir, I still don't know her. And Wheeler Yuta really should just get the sole slot here because he's a little Weasley Q-tip with a weird, just like face. Like he just looks like he's like ready to let out the sourest goddamn fart. Oh wait, that's just listening to his promos. And Moxley can work, but I have just completely been turned off of Moxley. Moxley is ratings poison. He's programming poison. Anything that Moxley does, it's not good. It has not been good for a while, but it has taken me a long time to realize that. And until he wants to admit that his ideas are all fucking dog shit, unfortunately, Moxley and the Death Riders are going to continue to plague this goddamn program, and it's just not going to be any fucking good. And realistically, I mean, I've pretty much hated this stuff since before WrestleDream, but that's about the point where I'm like, okay, now it's just bullshit. So yeah, even though I like Claudio as a worker, I think Pac is pretty dynamic. I could take or leave the rest of the fuckers. So Moxley and the Death Riders. Sticking with multiple people in a group. Final Testament. They think that Cross, leading a group of ragtag schmucks, is going to fucking work, especially in 2025. I just don't really fucking understand what they're thinking. Yeah, we have Miz join them, at least right now. And AOP, AOP, anything they had, like, totally vanished. Like, now, they apparently were signed for over a year before they got brought back up to the main roster. Or got brought back on the television, period. And in all honesty, probably should have just been paid for the year and said, you know what, we're realizing it's not any good. Go find something else to do. I'm not for cutting anybody's pay. I'm not for people not being able to earn a living. But AOP have earned absolutely, fuck all the shit as far as, they've done actually fuck all the shit as far as earning any keep in that company because they aren't any good. And Cross, bless him, the last indie show that I went to in Seattle, he was there. That's right before he went to WWE the first time. He treated me nice, and he was pretty respectful to a whole lot of other people, but in all honesty, as far as being on a big stage, it's not working. He's got size. Him and Scarlett could be a dynamic duo, and were, at least an Impact, but this just ain't working. The Final Testament stuff is terrible. What the fuck is Paul Ellering goddamn doing, too? Because Paul Ellering doesn't mean anything. It's like he looks confused. He looks absolutely lost. Mainly because when he was in school, they didn't have history. And I love Paul Ellering. He was a tremendous manager of the Road Warriors. But anyway, let's get to number 8. CEO, Mercedes Moné. Look, as far as her work, she has shown that she still has flashes of being Sasha Banks. She had a couple really good matches that I have praised in the past. But she's also had some dog shit matches and has had some of the worst goddamn promos, a fucking string of them, to the point I don't care what she says. She could be goddamn reciting Shakespeare. She could be coming up with a cure for every blood-borne disease and every disease ever known to man, to the point where we will live in a utopian society and nobody will ever get sick again. I don't want to hear her talk. Go to Hollywood, you goddamn disingenuous twat. But as far as wrestling ability but promo ability, she fucking sucks. And she's a big waste of money. I'm sorry, she's a big fucking waste of money. Speaking of a big waste of money, at least money and time. Number 7, Britt Baker, DMD. It's fun. It's actually fitting I put these two together since they were involved in one of the worst one of the worst matches, period, that has taken place on any wrestling pay-per-view in the entire year. That All In London match was a tough watch. That was not good. And Britt has not gotten any better. And I don't know if it's her ego. I don't know what it is. I know that she had her, her brain issues, some seizures, that kind of stuff. And God, I hope she was getting that address and wasn't doing dentistry during that. That would have been something. It would have been like an electroshock patient trying to, get a cavity out. That's mean. That's mean. I don't know why I said that. But Britt just... Now I've grown for a while when Britt Baker shows up. At least in the last couple years, it just has not really worked. And apparently she doesn't want to work with Jamie Hayter and she doesn't want to do this stuff. And she had job face when she came out and she was going to face Mercedes. Well, yeah, because they were pushing Mercedes and they've tried pushing you, Britt, and you sandbagged Thunder Rosa in some matches. Now that I think about it, Britt Baker probably should be higher on this list. But there's a reason she's not. Because there are other idiots that are even bigger idiots than her. Number 6, Gabe Kidd. Why does New Japan want to push this guy? He talks like he is literally, he's like somebody that's getting a constant electric shock to the point he's just throwing out words worse than a Tourette's patient. I do not, then again, now I think about it, they're not even patients because some just have Tourette's, but his work is average at best. He is not capable of leading this goddamn company. He sounds like a frickin' buffoon. He looks like a goddamn buffoon. And yeah, take my word for it if you want, as I am fully aware that I have not been as invested in New Japan, but he's a big reason why. The Bullet Club stuff, the House of Torture stuff, Gabe Kidd being one of their feature guys. You gotta be fucking kidding me. No wonder their business is in the goddamn shitter. I'm not saying it's his fault, but he certainly isn't helping. So anyway, number 5, Saraya, Defender of Abuserverse. I mean, come on. Her running back, I'm putting her here basically because she is a transphobe defending bitch, and she also is a fucking moron, is a sack of shit and a waste of money with a stack of dimes neck, and that stack of dimes is starting to split right down the goddamn middle. To the point that if you even took a little bit of a pen to it and tried to just cut open the rest of the slot, it would all spill out and everything, and then she would look exactly like Meryl Streep in goddamn Death Becomes Her, which is a shame because Death Becomes Her actually benefited society, and Saraya doesn't anymore. I know that she had her career taken away from her because she was injured, but people have sympathy for her with the Alberto Del Mio and El Patron, and yeah, I felt like drinking Patron trying to watch any shit that he was doing, but yeah, that relationship went sour. And look, yes, this is kind of going off on a goddamn rant, but Saraya has kept making bad decision after bad decision, and eventually it's less, we're going to have sympathy for you, more, you keep sticking your foot in your goddamn mouth and busting your neck, and you're going to go like this. It's going to be like a giraffe in a windstorm. Or like the girl in Hereditary. That would be such a shame if that happened, but nevertheless, you may see where her telephone pole is. Saraya, stick your head out the window. What? Saraya just is not beneficial to this. She's not beneficial to this company. She's not beneficial to wrestling. Tony Khan signed her to another year. Why? WWE ain't going to take her back because if they wouldn't clear her before, they're not going to clear her now. She can't work, and I don't want her to end up paralyzed because she's probably going to do that on her goddamn own, and I wouldn't wish that. But she can't. She has burned up all the goddamn goodwill. She is not worth the goddamn investment anymore. Number 4, the Young Bucks. Speaking of not being worth the investment anymore, what can I say about the Young Bucks? They can't work. They can't wrestle. They've never really been able to wrestle, but they've been able to get by on doing their flippy-dipty-doo-dah elite shit. But now they're older, slower, more broken down, and the shtick has not evolved. And that's really all I have to say right there. Like, Matt and Nick, two guys that want to take victory laps in third full building because CM Punk is no longer in the company. And now look at the state of the company now, and they don't want to let the goddamn thing go. They show footage of, All In and Punk and Jack Perry. More on him here in a second. And that has basically just done more damage for the company, and now the Bucks are dragging the tag division down whenever they're on camera. They're gonna try to come back as full-blown faces. It's not gonna work. They keep trying to reinvent themselves. They have to go away because the fans are sick of them. There are some that like them, even some that are allowed out of their house without adult supervision and without being tethered to something. But the Bucks don't mean anything anymore. They mean so little that I have been reduced to just making jokes about them. Speaking of jokes, Jack Perry, number 3. The scape joke. And he is a scape joke. There were people in the goddamn crowd I would have believed as wrestlers more than Jack Perry. There are people that were in better shape in the crowd than Jack Perry. And I know it's Tacoma, but still. Jack Perry is not believable. He has a third of the charisma that his dad had. And maybe 1/10 of the, physical charisma that his dad had. And that has even fucking dwindled. His whole thing of being a scapegoat and everything, yeah, because you antagonize the biggest star that the company had, and that ended up biting you in the goddamn ass. He throws, tantrums like a petulant child. And he did. You can fucking tell that he just has a sour look on his face, like, oh, I got sent to New Japan, this kind of stuff. And you essentially got paid to go to goddamn Japan because Tony didn't want to fire you, which he quite frankly should have. And now what the fuck's he doing? He's wearing a goat mask. He's doing stupid mini-movie stuff like he did in that feud with Daniel Garcia. And none of it is any fucking good because Jack Perry isn't any fucking good. Speaking of not very fucking good, Nia Jax. What the fuck else you want me to say about this sack of shit? It didn't deserve a goddamn chance in wrestling anyway. Thanks, Dwayne. I'm glad Red One failed if he's going to get his family in here because nepotism. At least Ava has a physical charisma as far as doing her GM stuff. At least they found something for her to do. But Nia Jax, if it wasn't obvious that she doesn't know how to fucking function properly in a goddamn ring, those chair shots and her work in the goddamn War Games, and I don't care if they brought her up first or they brought her up 5th for her team. She has no cardio, no ability to do anything. She has been the worst women's champion that they have had, I think, in their entire existence. And this is factoring Harvey Whippleman won the women's championship at one point. Nia Jax is not beneficial to this company. And if she was gone from the company by sometime around WrestleMania next year, or 2025 that is, just in case you have to be watching this in, way in the future, like 2030 and wondering, or 2100 and wondering who the fuck this guy was, and my head's in a goddamn jar, like I could afford that. Nia Jax is easily one of the worst wrestlers that WWE wrestling in general has. She's definitely the worst women's wrestler, at least to me. Now we go to number 1, Chris Jericho. He drags down every feud that he's involved in. He drags on every segment he's involved in. He's not entertaining. He is well past the shelf life of people that he railed against in WCW. Hogan, Flair, and various older ones that weren't even as old as he is, sucking up television time, and it's not good. It's not, beneficial to any brand. It's not beneficial to Ring of Honor. None of this is benefiting anybody except Chris Jericho. And even at this point, it ain't benefiting Chris Jericho because he has to know deep down, even in his concussed, stupid, COVID-denying brain with his wife that was part of the insurrection attempt about almost 4 years ago, and all the goddamn shit, that he has done, and all the donations that he has made, some to good causes, and some to a criminal piece of shit. The whole point is that even if you factor out all that stuff and you just talk about the wrestler, he can't cut a promo anymore. He's winded when he gets in the goddamn ring. And he can't go. And it is not working. Tony Khan needs to just say, Chris, I'll pay you the rest of your contract. Just go home. Because Jericho basically just wants, one more dance with glory, probably to get a Hall of Fame induction. That's about it. Because what else can he do? Take a look at him. He can't go. And it is obvious. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.